Hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your mentor Sanjana Chauhan and today I shall be discussing important strategies that will help you crack the English language section of CLAT 2025 for the last 50 days. So without further delay, let's start discussing. Firstly, I want the students to start reading daily. Now this reading that you're supposed to do has to be over and above the mocks and the sectional tests that you would be solving, right? So read about 5 to 6 articles on a daily basis. You can source your articles from newspapers, newspaper editorials, journals, online websites, even books, any source at your disposal. Apart from this, an important reminder to the students to be kept in mind is do not stay limited to reading just one category of passages. Try to add color to your reading, right? Read from different sources. It could be science and technology, it could be art, it can be literature, philosophy, so on and so forth. And even when you're reading, keep in mind that you need to read in an allotted time period. For example, as far as CLAT standard is concerned, one passage need not be devoted more than 5 to 6 minutes to solving it. When I say solving, it means you read the passage, you understand the passage, and you are also able to solve the questions correctly. So yes, start reading on a daily basis within the allotted time. Now, another very important point for the students to keep in mind is that you should focus on your weaknesses. At this point, my assumption is that most of you are already in the groove of taking mocks and you might have realized that there are certain key areas where you're still lagging behind in, right? For example, they can be main idea questions, they can be inference, they can be vocabulary, they can be title. This, by the way, is inexhaustive. So it's better that you prioritize solving questions in these categories first, right? The rest of the questions which you feel you're already good at will automatically help you score well, but it's better to strengthen your weak areas first thing. Therefore, concept mastery at this point is very crucial, right? Apart from that, if you come across passages which I feel happens often, the genre of which you find very difficult to understand, something that you feel is very foreign, it's better to employ skimming. Now skimming means that instead of reading the passage verbatim or word for word, you just focus on the introduction and conclusion. Very often the main idea of the passage can be derived from the conclusion or the manner in which the passage culminates. Similarly, the introduction also tells us something about what the passage is primarily about, right? So introduction, conclusion is something that you should be reading. Apart from that, learn to identify keywords and connectors mentioned in the passage. Now these keywords are essentially adjectives using which you shall be able to understand the tone of the author or the passage or the attitude which the author has in the passage. Let's just say there's a word celebrately mentioned in the passage, celebratory. So from this word itself, you can understand that this paragraph has a positive connotation to it. So learning the importance of adjectives will also come handy in helping you decode the meaning or the tone of the passage, right? And then we also have connectors mentioned in the passage. Now these connectors are words using which the author intends to introduce some contradictory fact or a surprising fact, and based on these connectors a lot of questions are developed, especially specific detailed questions, right? So pay attention to the adjectives, pay attention to the buts, howevers, etc. Right? Now, apart from this, the passage is also having a lot of flowery and bombastic words or technical terms. Now, students advise you to not feel demotivated by these terms. A lot of times these terms do not really create a lot of impact on the passage or impact your understanding of the passage. You can choose to skip them, right? They're just generally redundant, but do not do this for all the passages. Do it only for passages the genre of which you feel very uncomfortable with. For example, let's take philosophy, and there's a passage which talks about hedonism. Now you might not be clued about hedonism, but in that case you can choose to skip some very technical terms in the passage and just try focus on the introduction, the conclusion, some information that you feel you are able to get an understanding of, right? Now something which I have reiterated multiple times in my previous videos, is that you shouldn't be reading for the sake of reading. You should read so that you're able to understand the passage, right? Without understanding, you will never be able to know what the main idea, the main purpose of the passage is. Questions which are heavily asked in CLAT, right? Questions having a lot of weightage in CLAT. Now, when you understand the passage, again, two important things need to happen simultaneously. One is retention, which means you should not feel the need to keep on revisiting the passage, right? And this is in fact the goal of reading now. And second is comprehension, right? So you should be able to understand the passage as well. So when you're reading, keep these two things in mind. This should happen simultaneously, right? Apart from this, sometimes if you feel that retention is something you're not very good at due to lack of regular reading, which might be the case, in that case I'd suggest that you summarize the passage. By summarizing, I mean that for every paragraph you form your own one-liner summary next to it. This way you have a very understandable map prepared which will help you understand the message of the passage on a whole, right? And apart from this, yes, start practice reading within the allotted time to improve comprehension. For this, you can also start solving sectional tests. For example, sectional tests, for every 24 questions that are there, which is the case with CLAT standard, right? We have about 24 questions in the English language section. You should not be devoting more than 30 to 35 minutes, right? So once you get in the groove of taking sectional tests, speed and understanding will automatically follow suit, right? And most important of all, something which I feel is a common concern for every student, something which I feel is the Achilles heel for every student is, how do you prepare for vocabulary, especially when you don't have a lot of time to CLAT? Now, in this particular situation, I wouldn't really suggest the students to just read and maybe look up the meaning of the word in the dictionary. However, there are two ways I can suggest you go about practicing vocabulary for CLAT. One is solving MCQ based vocabulary questions during breaks. During breaks, I mean, let's just say you're already studying for 2 hours and then you like to take a break. So try to make that break more productive, right? Think of vocabulary as a leisurely activity. You just start solving MCQ based questions. It's not really a question of if you know the word or not. It's a matter of how repetitive these words are in nature, and the more often you review and revise these words, the better you will be able to process the meaning of the word. So much so that next time if you find this word resonating in every passage, you will be able to infer the meaning even remotely for that matter. Apart from this, start studying, remembering and memorizing word clusters, right? What I mean by word clusters is there are certain words which have the same meaning to them, right? So these are word clusters. So for example, if you have the word stubborn, we have several synonyms for it. There is recalcitrant, we have contumacious, we have intractable, we have obstinate. So word clusters will help you understand the meaning of words which are just different in variety but have the same meaning, and this way you will never feel confused, right? You can learn so many words using word clusters as a key part of your preparation here. So yes, that's about it. All of this will require some bit of hard work, but the harder you work, the more successful you will be, right? That's it about the session. I hope you found it handy and helpful. If you feel you need to reach out to any mentor representing the Get Set Live online team, feel free to reach out to us. We as a team are mentioned on every social media platform. So yes, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much and have a great day.